This is why I can give an unbiased opinion on this case. Number one, criminal law is basic law material. Somebody type basic. Okay? It's like that girl with no weave, no lashes, no lipstick. It's very basic. 5'4", 145 pounds, very basic. Okay? Shopped at Forever 21. You know what I'm talking about, basic. Criminal law is probably one of the most basic areas of law that they teach. They teach it in law school, first year. This isn't some mysterious area of law that only 5 people in the country understand. This is basic first year law school information. Cam up. Now, the area of law that I practice, complex civil litigation, personal injury, class actions, federal litigation. You don't really learn that in law school. You got to learn that out in the world. You learn that by actually practicing. You learn that by being in the trenches. You learn that by dealing with insurance companies, federal courts, experts, discovery, motion, judges, mediations, real litigation strategy. But criminal law, self-defense, murder, manslaughter, burden of proof, reasonable belief, force versus deadly force, that's basic law school. Somebody type basic in the chat room. That's why a lawyer right out of law school can go become a prosecutor. That's why a lawyer right out of law school can go be a criminal defense attorney. That's why law schools let students work in criminal defense clinics. You could be a second-year law student and be defending people. That's why people can even represent themselves pro se in many criminal cases, and they do just fine. The concepts have to be understandable. That's why, and they have to be explainable. They have to be something regular people on a jury can understand. So when I talk about this, I'm not acting like I'm revealing some hidden secret. Cam up. The link is in the chat room. I see we got a couple of people waiting in here. I'm not acting like I'm revealing some secrets here. This is basic law. And here's the other reason my opinion is straight up the line. I'm not a prosecutor. I'm not a criminal defense lawyer. See, a prosecutor is almost always going to look at the case through the lens of the victim and the state. Even when you see them on CNN and MSNBC and YouTube or wherever, they're often speaking from a prosecutorial mindset. They're trained to look at it the way the state can prove the case. On the other side, the criminal defense lawyers are trained to look for every reason the accused should not have been convicted. That's their job. That's why, or that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to find reasonable doubt. They're supposed to challenge the state. They're supposed to attack the evidence. They're supposed to say, here's why my client shouldn't be found guilty. But see, I don't have that problem. I'm not tied to either side. I don't advocate for the prosecutor. I don't advocate for the defense. In fact, I detest the criminal practice of law. I don't want to be a criminal in criminal court. I don't want to defend criminal cases. I don't want to prosecute criminal cases. That's not my practice. It's not my lane. That's not how I feed my family. And that's exactly why I'm unbiased. I don't have a dog in that hunt. My law practice isn't dependent on me getting online and saying a guilty defendant is innocent because I'm trying to attract criminal defense clients. My law practice isn't dependent on me getting online and saying the accused person is guilty because I'm trying to protect some prosecutorial brand. Doesn't matter to my wallet what position I take in the criminal case. It doesn't matter to my bank account. It doesn't affect my ability to send my children to private school like some of these lawyers. It doesn't affect whether somebody hires me in a personal injury case, a civil rights case, or a class action or a federal case. So I can call it like I see it. You see how that works? I can give it to you raw and uncut. And that's why people get mad. Oh, you're an ambulance chaser. Yeah, that's why I don't care. I'm going to tell you the truth. It ain't my business. You get mad, but that's why they call me. Because they know I'm not trying to sell them a fantasy. I'm not trying to protect a criminal defense brand. I'm not trying to protect I'm not trying to protect a prosecutorial ban. I'm not auditioning for anybody. I'm just telling you what I see. Now, if you start asking me about personal injury cases and class action insurance disputes and medical billing and civil litigation or other things directly connected to my practice, I might say no comment. See, why? Because what I say in public could affect an argument I need to make later in court. The jury will see me. The defense lawyers will see me and they say, well, you said this when you on CNN. And now you telling the jury you making an opposite argument, Judge. Judge, he's making an opposite argument that he made on CNN. And the last thing I want to have to do is fight myself. If I take one position on CNN or YouTube or social media, some lawyer can pull that clip later and try to use it against me. They can say, Mr. Spreller, didn't you say this back in 2026? And see, that's why prosecutors have to be careful when they appear on these public forums. That's why defense lawyers have to be careful. A defense attorney can take a prosecutor's public statement and use it in front of a jury, and a prosecutor can take a defense attorney's public statement and throw it back at them. Lawyers have to protect their future arguments, but I don't have that concern in criminal law because I don't practice criminal law. So when I look at the Carmelo Anthony case, I'm not looking at it like a prosecutor who needs to make sure I need to convict. I'm not looking at it like a defense lawyer who needs an acquittal. I'm looking at it like a lawyer who understands the law and a father who understands consequences. And that's why some people are angry. Y'all wanted me to pick a team. They wanted me to say he's black, so I'm defending him no matter what. Or that I wanted to, or they wanted me to say the jury convicted him, so everything the state did was automatically right. I'm not doing either one of those things. I'm not picking teams. I'm telling the truth, the cold, hard truth. The truth is that self-defense is not magic language. The truth is that I was scared doesn't automatically justify deadly force. The truth is that he touched me first doesn't automatically justify pulling out a weapon. The truth is that no duty to retreat doesn't mean you have a license to kill. And anybody who thinks that is stupid.